Hello everybody. Today I'm gonna show you an easy way that I found to make animated buttons in .NET Maui. This is not the best way or the most beautiful one, but it's very simple and maybe I can help you to figure out something that you can make better than me. So here I have this sample project using MVVM in .NET Maui, and it's very simple. It's just a label and a button. So this is the sample project. It's very basic. It's just a label and a button. Um, on the button, when I click on it, it calls the download command. And on download command, I have this is downloading set to true, which is a bindable property. Then it awaits 4 seconds, simulating a download, a fake download. And then after 4 seconds, is downloading to false and downloaded to true. But if I click here, you can see the command is working fine. But if I click here, there is no animation. I can use the activity indicator of the Maui, the component of Maui, but I want a button that animates itself. And when the download completes, it makes a new animation, like this one, where I click on it, it makes this animation, and this one unfinished. So how to make this without much work? Well, it's very simple. We can use SkiaSharp and Font Awesome. Let's start from the very beginning. Let's first of all install Font Awesome. So you can go to Google, search for Font Awesome download, go to the fontawesome.com and download the desktop version, in my case, the free version. After finishing, you have this folder. Open it and you have the OTFS folder. Here you have the 3 versions of Font Awesome: the regular, brands, and the solid. Extract it on anywhere on your PC, and then to make things more simple, you can rename it. In my case, I like to rename it using the initials. So for brands, I use FAB, regular, for, and solid, FES. So now we have the 3 versions on those 3 files. Before installing, let's make things more organized. So here on the Visual Studio, we can go to Resources folder and then create a new folder, because we won't use Font Awesome like the normal fonts. We will use it in a different way. So let's create a new folder on Resources. Let's call it Font Awesome. Now open the folder where you extracted the 3 files, and then copy it. Now go to Font Awesome folder, which we created, and then paste. Now we have the 3 files of Font Awesome on our project. But before continuing, you need to make sure that these 3 files have the build action set to embedded resource like this. So you need to make this for these 3 files. Okay, now we must use these fonts on Maui. Open mauiprogram.cs and add those 3 fonts. On the first parameter of add font, you need to specify the name of the file. In this case, we have the fab, fer, and fas OTF. Let's type those. On the second parameter, we must specify the alias. So I like to specify like the name of the file. In this case, FAS, FAR, FAB. Now, we need to install the Skia on our project. So go to Manage Nugget Packages, browse, and then find for this package, skiasharp.views.maui.controls, and then install it. Now we must use the SkiaSharp on our project. So go again to mauiprogram.cs and then add this configuration, use SkiaSharp. Let's create our component. So go to Solution Explorer and then create a new folder, Custom Controls, and then create a new class. I will call this component animation, or better, animated download button. In this new class, we must inherit from SK canvas view from SkiaSharp views Maui controls. Okay, and set this class to public. Now we must start to make the control itself. So let's start from the bindable properties. I must have a property which can indicate if the animation should run or not. So let's create the new bindable property. Here I have the snippet created by me, and you can copy this. It is a normal bindable property. So I will call it is downloading. The type of this bindable property will be bool, and the class which I am working on, the default value false. Okay. Now I must specify another property that will indicate if the download completed successfully. So let's create another bindable property, downloaded, type bool, and of this class, default false. To make things easier, let's create also a command type property to handle our taps on the screen, so it will work like a normal button. So let's create another bindable property. I will call this clicked command, type of iCommand, the name of the class, and the default value null. Let's change it here too. Okay. Now let's create our constructor. Okay, so what I need to create an animation on Skia? Well, I need something to update the frames. So the first thing I will make here is create a field of the type system dot timers dot timer. I will call it frame timer. Another thing that I will need is a typeface, which will consume the Font Awesome by the Skia. So Skia will use the Font Awesome icons using a typeface. So let's create one here. SK typeface. The name Font Awesome typeface. Now let's initialize those two fields. Let's start with frame timer. So frame timer equals to new system timers timer. Inside here I will specify a value which is the interval between frame to another frame in 60 frames per second, which is 33 floats. Okay. Now I will create the event that will be called every time in 33 milliseconds. So let's create a new event. I will call it frame timer ellipse. Now let's initialize the typeface. This is a little tricky. Well, how can we get the typeface of the Font Awesome files? Well, it's very tricky. You can get it from the assembly. So you need first to create a resource stream. So resource stream equals to assembly dot get execution assembly, the current assembly, and then get manifest resource stream. Inside here we must specify the directory, or better, not the directory, the namespace of the file. So what file we want to load right here? We can only load a typeface per file. So if I want to load the Font Awesome solid, I need to load the stream of that file. I cannot load the tree into one stream. Okay, so in this video I will be using the Font Awesome solid icons. I will not use the regular or the brands. So I will only load the Font Awesome solid file. So I need the namespace of this file. And the namespace of this file, it's very easy. It's the namespace of my project. So animated icon Maui dot custom sorry, not custom controls, it's resources. Font Awesome, and then the name of the file plus the extension. And it's a string. Resources Font Awesome dot Font Awesome solid dot OTF. Okay, now I have the string, and I will take this string and make it become a typeface of Skia. So I take Font Awesome typeface and call sk typeface dot from string and then my resource stream. This might be working. We can place a breakpoint here to check later on. Don't forget, you need to specify here the namespace of the file that you will be using. Now I will create the event that will draw this on the screen, will draw the icon. So this event is point surface of the Skia, the escape canvas view. Create this event and then right here we will make the drawing. Before going deeper on this event, let's create another thing, the touch event. So when I click on component, the event will be called, so we can call our command or clicked command. So let's create this new event. Animation download button touch. Okay. Now we must enable the touch on our new component. Okay. So far so great. Let's continue. Let's go now for the, let's start with the touch event. So right here, I will make the following. I will call my clicked command. Let's verify if it's null or not. If it's not null, execute and no args, just the null. On my frame timer ellipse, let me move this right here. I will some call the invalidate surface. This one will just tell to Skia, hey, redraw on the component, not on the screen, only on the component. So it will force a new draw. So what I'm gonna do to animate the icon? Well, here on Paint 3D, I have this picture of the icon. So on Skia, I will draw the icon, but to make the animation of the icon be drawn from top to bottom, I will create a mask. So the mask will be the same color of the background color. So when we are create the frame by frame, the animation will do something like this. Each frame. So we will only change the mask, not the icon. The icon will be there, static, but we will change the mask. So it will create this animation. To create the mask, I will need first two things. The current mask height and the rectangle of that mask. So I will call it mask rect. So these two fields will help me to draw that mask and get its current height. Here I must start this rectangle, otherwise the app will crash. Okay, now we can start the draw. Let's go to Paint event. So first let's get the properties that we will use. So I will create the canvas variable which is the E surface canvas, the width of the component. Remember that the width of this draw is different of the width of the Xamarin. Okay, and now the height. Now let's clear the canvas. Let's clear everything. For now we can clear using the transparent color. So SK colors transparent. Let's check first if the download is not complete yet. So if it's not downloaded yet, we will make another stuff here. Okay, let's set first the background of the component. So background using var background paint equals to new sk paint bg paint dot style is the type of fill, sk paint style dot fill, yeah, bg paint dot color. By now we can set the background to black. We can change it later on. So sk colors black. To make the component more, beautiful, we can also set the anti-alias to true. Okay. Now let's draw that background. So canvas, draw rect. Let's start from 0, 0. If you don't know much about Skia, I will leave a very good video of YouTube on the description of this video, so you can find out about more about the Skia on that video. It's a very, very good tutorial about Skia. You can watch there, because I will not talk about the functions of the methods, anything about Skia. Let's continue. So width and height. I want to fill the roll component with the black color. So fill background. Now let's set the foreground paint. So using var fg paint equals to new sk paint. Oh, sorry, it's not fb, it's fg, sorry. Okay, we can also set the anti-alias. So anti-alias also true. Okay, for this paint we will set another properties because it's the paint of the icon itself. So let's set the text size. So fg paint dot text size. Let's set something like 128. Also, we can set the typeface of this point. So fg point dot typeface equals to, this is the typeface. You remember that the font that we will work in this case is the Font Awesome Solid. So I will use the FA typeface. Okay, let's continue. Now let's draw the text. So first of all, I need to know where is the center of my component. But before I know the center, I need to know what is the size of my icon inside the component. Because I need to know the size of the icon to know how to center it. So let's make this little thing. Let's create a rectangle. I will call it mrect for measure. So now I have this rectangle, but I need to measure it to get the measure and pass to my new rectangle. So I will use the FG paint because I have this typeface on the typeface of my FG paint, so I can simulate a draw of that icon. I can do that making the measure text. Now, what is the text that I want to draw? Well, I cannot just tell the type of the icon here because I don't have access to that. It's different when you work with Font Awesome. Well, if you never worked with Font Awesome on Xamarin or Maui, you can check out on Google or YouTube. There's a lot of videos teaching. Here I will use the code of my icon. In this case, this code. I will use this icon, and the code of that icon is this one. So I take the code and I will create a constant for it. So private const string, I will call it download icon code. Here I have to pass the backslash and u and then the code. So it will recognize as a UTF-16 code. Okay? Also, I will be using this icon, the check icon, which has this code. So let me create a const for this icon, check icon code, which is this one. Okay, now on measure text, I have the code of my icon. I can put it here. And then where I want to receive the measure of this text. Well, in my new rect. So I place the rect here. But if you see, it's a reference. Oops, here is. It's a reference. So I pass the reference of my mrect. Okay? Now we have the measure of our icon. We can center it on our component. Now let's draw the icon. So canvas dot draw text. First, the text that I want to draw. In my case, the icon code. Here, the point, I can use the point, but on this overload right here, I can use float of the coordinates. So in X, I will get the center of my component. You just need to use this calculation, the width of my component minus the width of my measured rect divided by 2. Now we have the center. The same for the height. So height, less and rect dot height divided by 2. Now the point of this text in this case is our FG paint. Here is. To test our component, first I need to call it on my main page. So I will remove this button, and here I will call my component. So first of all, let's declare the custom controls namespace here. Oops. Here is. I will take the namespace and call my component. It's grid.row1. Okay, here is. Before running the project, sorry very much, I forgot a couple of things. First, the color of my foreground, so it has no color set, so I will set it to white by now. Another thing is that the text is drawn a little different on the Skia. So if I inform the height like this, it will be drawn on the middle. It will cut my icon on the middle and will be on the top of my component. Will be bugged. So the right way it's placed like this is the height minus the height minus the height of my measure. So it will be almost on the top of my component. Not on the top, but almost on the top, minus the measure rectangle height, okay? And also on my main page, I must specify the height and the width request of my component. So here is the project running. As you can see, it successfully got the resource stream of my Font Awesome solid file, and also the typeface. Here is, we successfully got the typeface of our Font Awesome, as you can see right here. Okay, so here is the component. We did it. But right now there is no action, as you can see. There is no animation, nothing, just the static icon. So if I am animating, the animation is running, I want to work with my mask. Do you remember the mask that I show you? So if my component is downloading, I want to continue the code. Otherwise, if it's not downloading, I just want to draw the static icon of download. Okay, so no animation if no downloading. Okay, so if it's downloading, I will start handling the mask. So first of all, let's check what is the current height of my mask. So if the height is less or equals to 0, I will set it back to the height of my component. Else I will set it to mask rect dot height less animation speed. This animation speed, I will set it's a constant. So if I don't like the speed, the current speed of my animation, I can set it on top of my project later on. So I will set it right here, the speed of my animation. I will set it 5 pixels by each frame. It's a little fast, but not that much. So here is 5 float. So what are we doing here? We are creating a mask, and as I show you on Paint, we will decrease the height of the mask, but not from the bottom to top. It's from the top to bottom. So we use the animation speed constant to make that happen. Now let's update our mask rectangle. So I will create another instance for our mask rectangle and place right like this. Here we are setting the starting top position. So where it will start on the top, it's set right here. Okay, the width and the height is not filling, sorry, but it will fill the rest of the component. Now we can draw that mask rectangle using the same color of background. Now my mask should be refreshing, updating right. Before testing, let's make sure that our timer will start when I set the is downloading property to true. So how can I do that? I will come here on my bindable property and set its property changed event. So on is downloading property changed. Now I will create this event, but it's not a normal event, it's a static event. So here it is. It will receive a bindable object, my bindable, and here is the old value and new value. Inside this, I will refer to the bindable argument and cast to my component, which is animation download button. So my value, I will cast my new value. If my receive value is false, so I will stop my timer, else I will start, and then I will invalidate the surface. Oops. Here it is. So what's going on here? I'm casting the bindable, which is my own class, my own component, when the property is downloading changed. So when is downloading receive a new value, I will cast the new value and check if is downloading is being set to false. I will stop my timer. I won't stop the animation. Else I will start the animation and then invalidate the surface to redraw my component. I forgot again. First, before testing, I need to go to my main page and set the clicked command to my download command. So when I click on my component, my download command will be called. Also, I need to bind my is downloading with the component is downloading property. Now I will click on the component. Let's see if it will animate. There is, working fine. After 4 seconds, is downloading is set to false, and then it stops the animation. So the mask is working fine. Everything is working fine until now. Let's add our download completed icon or check icon. This one. Let's add that one when our download is completed. So if our download is not completed, we do this animation, this draw. Else, if it's completed, already completed, let's just draw or check. So let's make a paint for that check icon. Escape paint. Oops. So the color, let's set to green. The text size 130. The typeface, also the Font Awesome typeface, and the anti-alias, let's set to true. Okay, now let's draw the check icon. Now we need to make something very likely of the downloading icon. We need first to measure it to get the center of the screen. So let's get this one and copy that. Let's change this to checkpoint and this to check icon. Okay. For this icon, I find out that there is a little, how can I say, a little buggy when drawing it. It stays at the top, a little at the top of the component, so it not stays on the center. So I just find out that I need to make something like this. Height less height times 10 divided by 100. When I make this, it should draw right on the center of the component. I don't know why. Sometimes we need to change this value according to the size of the component. I don't know why this happens, but it happens with this check icon. Now we need to specify a property changed for our downloaded property, like we did with the is downloading property. So let's create another on property changed, but now for our downloaded property. Here he is. Let me copy this name. Copy this right here. Okay. Inside this one, I will just make a single check. Okay. Like we did in the is downloading here, when my download is completed, I set the is downloading to false in both cases. So, oh, oops, this one is not here. It's right here, sorry. And this fella also is here. Okay, now we're fine. Here. This one is just to stop the timer. If our download got completed, we stop the timer. So in our view model, we do not need to set the is downloading to false when setting the downloaded to true, because on our component it will check if the value is true. If the downloaded is true, then stop the timer and set this downloading to false. Also, to make things more automatically, I don't know how to say, but we can come here and set the binding mode to two-way. So when we set this bindable property inside this component to false, we will also set it to false in our view model. I just forgot again, like always forgetting the things, sorry. I forgot to bind my property downloaded with my view model download property. Okay, here is binded. Okay, let's click. Here is, look, we got it. Our component is working like we pretended, but we can make several things to improve our component. Let's make our background color more dynamic, more customizable. So instead of using this hard-coded black color, let's create a bindable property to set our background color. So I will come here. First of all, let's organize these things. Let's just call this our download control props. Also the command, yeah. Okay. And here we can create colors props. Okay. So let's create our bindable property and the type of this class. Let's set the default value to its colors, yeah, colors, to black. Okay. Now let's create a font color for our icon. Color, type of our class, colors.white. Okay. Also, we can let's change this region name to style. Okay. Now we can also customize the border of our component. Right now, our component, it has, as you can see, this square border. Let's make it more customizable. So let's create a corner radius property. Type of, let's use integer of this type. The default value 0. Okay. Now let's take those and bring it here to our draw method. Sorry, draw event. Okay, for the background, we can use our bindable property. Here, on the clear, we can continue using transparent for some reasons that I won't tell about it right now. Anyway, so let's use here our background color. Here on our color property, we have this method, which is an extension bringing by the SkiaSharp. So it converts a Maui color to SK color. You can use that. So here is very simple. For our icon, which is, oh, sorry, I did a mistake. It's not here. Here's the foreground color. We must set the background here on the back paint. Here is the fore color. Here is, okay. Now we can also change the color of our check icon. So let's go there again to the bindable properties and create a check icon color, or better, downloaded color. Type of color, our class, default value, green. Here is. Here I can set to my downloaded color. Okay, now let's apply the corner radius for our component, for our background. So instead of using the draw rect, let's use draw rounded rect. First, let me just cut this line. Let's check if the corner radius is not 0. So if corner radius is greater than 0, else we will do something different. Okay, so in this one I will leave draw rect, and this one round rect, and here I will use the corner radius property. So if the corner radius is set is greater than 0, we will draw a rounded rectangle using the corner radius that we specify. Else we will use the rectangle, normal rectangle. Okay? Nice. Now we can go to our main page and work with those bindable properties. So to my back color, I will set to something like this color. My fore color, light blue, this one. And for downloaded color, long green, this one. Okay, let me also change the color of my page something like this. Also, let's use the corner radius. Let's set to 10. Okay. Now let's test. As you can see, it's very buggy. But if I try to change the color of my component, it will not work with the hot reload, sorry. Why it's not working? Fine. Because we need to set bindable property, the property changed for our new bindable properties. So let's create just a single one property changed for all our styling props. So I will call this on style property changed, a generic name to refer to our styling properties. So we'll make this for this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, let me copy that and here, change the name. Nice. So here it's very simple. I don't want to check nothing, neither the value. I only want to force a new draw. Again, another mistake before I running the emulator. I just did a very bizarre mistake here. It's not like this. I just placed the arguments very wrong. So now it's right. Okay. Now it's working fine again. I can right now specify some properties. So sorry, some colors. It will change with the hot reload because we have created the property changed for our styling properties, bindable properties in this case. So I can make very interesting things here. For example, I will place this background color. On my main color, I will put something like 23 F0 C1. This one, okay? And on completed, the long green. So let's test it. Oh, and let me change the color of my label so we can see it. Okay, let's click. Here is our component and completed. But well, if you see, there is just a little detail, a little buggy that I found out right now. It's about our mask. So when I click on the component, look at the bottom, the two corners of the bottom. Check out. Square. It's not applying the corner radius for our mask. So we forgot to set the corner radius for our mask also. So let's copy this and here, when drawing the mask, apply this to the mask. Okay, let's check now. So when I click, the mask is drawing the corner radius right, as you can see, and the animation is working. Well, there's a lot of things we can customize in our component. There is no limits. So, well, you can create your own components with Skia. You can even handle the touch event. For example, on my touch event, I can take the location where I type it with my finger, the X and the Y. You can make such little things, such great things with this. You can create a drawing, a application. You can make beautiful components, your own components. So I hope I just helped you in something. I hope you learned something from this. And if you enjoy, leave a comment. If you found some mistake, leave a comment also. And thank you very much for watching. I see you next time.